Hey everyone, it's TK Friday, and boy do I have an episode for you today. We're working with the TK7 Combo / CxPanel. We're working with two actions inside of there. They're called the Lights Triple Play Action and the Darks Triple Play Action. What can they do for you? How can they help your images out? You're going to find out today. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, welcome to the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. Today we're looking at the triple play actions inside of the TK7 Combo or CxPanel, whichever one you're using. They're both the same panel, they just look a little bit different in their shape. And by the way, we're looking at the Lights Triple Play and the Darks Triple Play. Now, what is it for? What are those actions for? Well, they deal with brightness, they deal with contrast and detail. Now, these are three things that we as photographers really love to work with when we're editing our images. So let's take a look at these actions. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. Now, I'm working with the TK7 Combo panel, or you may have the CxPanel up, with your choice, whichever one you want. And by the way, you'll find your panels up here under Window, under Extensions, and you'll find your panels in here, okay? In other words, here's my CxPanel. If I wanted to pull it up, I could click this right here. And if I do, you'll see there's my CxPanel coming up here. But I'm going to use the Combo panel. As I said, they're different shapes, but that's the only difference. So let's go ahead and open up our actions here. Now you'll find your actions inside of this TK icon right here with a little play symbol. Give that a click and your triple play actions are right here. Now you'll notice mine are highlighted. I highly recommend that you highlight your favorite actions with a color. And all you need to do is just right click on any action and you can assign it a color, which is really nice. But I have mine highlighted here. We're going to start out with the Darks Triple Play first. So let me go ahead and click Darks Triple Play now. You're going to be greeted here. It's going to say, what pixel radius do you want for the Gaussian blur? Now, I recommend that you take the default setting that you get and just click OK. So mine's going to give me a 20 pixel radius. I'm going to click OK. And then the action runs, and I have a bunch of different layers here, and they're in a group called Darks Triple Play. And you see all my layers, and above that you see this layer called Separator Halo Mask. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Remind me if I forget. Hopefully I won't. Let me show you what's going on inside of this Darks Triple Play group. You notice we have 10 layers here. We have a red section and a blue section. Inside the red section we have 5 Darks masks. Starting with Darks 1, these are your typical Darks masks that we can make in the TK7 Go panel. Darks 1, Darks 2, Darks 3, 4, and 5. Notice these first set of 5 are in the multiply blend mode. They have no blur applied to them. In the blue section here, we have the same dark masks, Darks 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, only they're in a screen blend mode, and there's some blur applied to them. Let's go ahead and take a look at the mask. So I'm going to click on this first M Darks 1 No Blur mask and click on this double arrow icon here. So we can see there's the first mask. It's just a Darks 1 mask. Here's a Darks 2 mask, a 3, a 4, and a 5. And you notice there's no blur on them. Then when I get into the screen section here, Darks 1, it has a blur. And Darks 2, Darks 3, Darks 4, and Darks 5. Now you may ask yourself this question, like, why do you have a blurred set and why do you have a non-blurred set? And why do you have a set that's in multiply blend mode and you have a set in screen blend mode? Well, let me try to answer that for you. I'll start by clicking this layer on right here. Now notice one thing, all these layers are using curves adjustments. There's no adjustment on those curves adjustment, by the way. And you don't touch that curves adjustment. You just leave it alone. What you're interested in are the layer masks, okay? So this layer is turned on, and you notice it's an M Darks 4 No Blur. M standing for multiply. And what I'm going to do next is click on its counterpart, which is this layer right here. Let's turn it on. And it is a S Darks 4 blurred. So what I'm doing here is I'm combining a blurred layer in the screen blend mode to a multiply layer in a no blur mode. And what happens when you combine a screen with a multiply of equal amounts and one's blurred and one isn't blurred, you end up getting a detail increase. Now, check this out. I'm going to come up here to the Darks Triple Play, and I'm going to click this eye right here. Here's the before, and here's the after. Let me really zoom into the image here so you can really see it. Okay, so we're zoomed way in. So here is the before, and here's the after. You see that increase of detail, and it's a beautiful increase of detail. It's not like that super crispy detail, but it's just a nice amount of detail. Now, why did I start with 4? I think 4 is a good one to just always start out with, and then go from there. If you feel like you need more detail, then you could go ahead and jump up. Like, for instance, I'll shut off the Screen Darks 4 and switch on the Screen Darks 3, and then I'll shut off the M Darks 4 and switch on this one here, the M Darks 3 no blur. And now notice when I shut this off, that's without the detail increase, and here's with it. And that's a larger detail increase. So in other words, when you keep coming up the line here, combining 2 of these equal amounts together, you're going to keep increasing detail. But I always recommend that you start around 4, because 4 is generally, honestly, a pretty good place to add detail. And I used 4 a lot. But if you need a little more, you can keep jumping up the line, or consequently, you can move down the line. You can move down to, say, like a Darks 5, and move this to a Darks 5. And now you'll see, let me go ahead and zoom in again so you can really see this. And here we go. Here is without the increased detail, and here's with it. So as you can see, it's a less amount of detail. So whatever you need. But I'm going to go back. I'm going to shut this one off, turn this one on, and I can hear your brains out there saying, hey, can you combine different amounts? Yes, guys, you can combine, like, you can combine like a 5 and a 4 here. You can do different things. You can experiment, but I have to say, be cautious if you do that. I generally don't do that. I just keep equal amounts to increase the detail. In other words, if I want more detail, I'll just keep bumping up the line, or if I need less, I'll go down the line. But I always like to start with a 4 multiply, and a 4 screen, and then adjust from there. But if you do various amounts, like, you start clicking around here, you might start introducing artifacts into the image, so please be careful. But feel free to experiment. And can you adjust the different opacities on these layers? Yes, you can, but I don't recommend it, and I don't do it. Here's what I do. If I need to reduce the overall effect, I'll come up here to the group, Darks Triple Play, and then I'll start to pull this opacity back if I feel I need less. But that's where I do my fine tuning. I don't really like to adjust the opacities on the layers themselves. And again, I usually like to just use one selection in the red section and one selection in the blue section, and I'll keep them the same, all right? And then, like I said, if I want to increase the detail, I'll just, use a 3 and a 3, or a 2 and a 2, so on and so forth. Or I'll come the opposite way and combine 2 of the equal amounts of the screen mixed with a multiply layer. The Darks Triple Play, for me, what I use it for is to increase detail on my image. And like I said, I like to start with a 4. Now, let me go to a 3 just because we're doing a video and it'll show up better. So I'm going to shut this Screen Darks 4 off and click on Screen Darks 3. I'll shut off the Multiply Darks 4 and click on the Multiply Darks 3. And here's my before, and here's my after. Now, you also have a layer mask on this group that you can paint away detail if you don't want it as well. And if your effect's too strong, just come simply here and click on the Darks Triple Play group and start to pull back in your opacity, and you can ease off on that. Now, you may ask yourself, what is this separator halo mask here for? Well, it has a couple different reasons. One reason is if you ever want to add other adjustments above this adjustment, what you would do is you would click on this layer right here, and then, for instance, you could come down here and add a hue saturation layer, and it'll put it above that separator halo mask layer. Because if you don't do that, I'll show you what will happen. Let me go ahead and delete this layer by clicking this trash can here, and that'll delete that layer. And say, for instance, I'm on the Triple Play group here, and I want to put an adjustment above this, okay? And I come down here and click on, this time let's put a curves adjustment there. And notice what happens. It puts it inside of this Triple Play group, which is what I don't want. So let me go ahead and delete this. So remember, when you want to add other adjustments, make sure you click on this separator halo layer, and then you can come here and add any adjustment you want. So that's one of the purposes for the separator halo mask. Now let me show you what the other one's for. Here's the second reason for the separator halo mask, and that is if you ever notice any halos developing on your image by running any of the triple play actions, and that's rare that happens and it hardly ever happens, but if it does, you can erase those halos. And the way you do that is, first notice I have a darks 3 no blur and a darks 3 blurred. What I would do is I would click on the darks 3 mask, the blurred mask that is, however. Click on the blurred mask and you can paint away the halos, but here's what you need to do. Come up to the separator halo mask, Command or Control click it, and that'll select it as a selection. And then what you want to do is hide that selection by clicking this button right here. And then on this particular layer here, make sure you have black paint and a brush at 100% opacity. And if you have any halos, you can erase those halos because you'll be painting through that selection. And you'll find that 1 to 3 passes over a halo will eliminate it. But you'd be painting on this mask here. I'm not going to demonstrate that because I don't have a halo here to demonstrate. And you generally rarely get halos. But if you do, that's another purpose for this separator halo mask. So if you're having halo issues and you forget what to do, just come back to this video and watch it again. And you'll be refreshed on what to do. Just to recap, we did the triple play darks and I use it to add detail to the image. And if you recall at the beginning of the video, I said the triple play is all about brightness, detail, and contrast. Now, this detail adjustment is contrast and it's edge contrast, but we're using that blurred layer mixed with that non-blurred layer, one in the screen mode, one in the multiply mode. When those two layers collide together, we increase edge contrast. And again, I use the darks triple play to bring out detail. In other words, to bring out edge contrast. And I'll use the lights triple play to bring out maybe some brightness to the image, and I'll show you that next. But here's something very important. See this little lightning bolt right here? If you click it, what it'll do is it'll get rid of all the layers that are unused, and that'll really declutter your layer stack. And also it'll save on file size. It'll decrease your file size a bit. And now all that clutter is gone. So let's just close this group and let's take a look at the overall image. Here's the before without the increase of detail. Now remember, that's what I use the triple play, the darks triple play for, to increase detail. Here's my before and here is my after. But look at that beautiful detail. It's not that over the top extra crispy detail, but it's just really beautiful detail. Now let's work with the lights triple play. Let's click on the TK actions icon, and now we're going to choose lights triple play. Now it's going to ask you, what radius do you want for the Gaussian blur? I'm going to choose the default setting. It's what I always choose, which is 15 pixels. I'm going to click OK. It'll run our action. And now you'll notice we have our separator halo mask, just like we had in the darks triple play. We have a lights triple play group. We have all our layers here that are all using curves adjustment layers. Now remember, there's no adjustments on those curves, but we're using lights layer mask. Now we're doing lights 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. No blur in the screen blend mode, and we're doing lights 1 through 5 that are blurred, and now these are in the multiply blend mode. Now the same principles apply with the lights triple play as they did with the darks triple play. Except now instead of using darks masks, we're using lights masks. So let's click on our first mask here and click this double arrow icon so we can see what the mask looks like. And it's a standard lights 1 layer mask. Here's a standard lights 2 layer mask, a lights 3, a lights 4, and a lights 5. Now, you'll notice here there's not a lot going on in this layer mask here. We have some light areas here. And remember, the light areas will take the adjustment. The dark areas or the black areas will get no adjustment. Gray areas will get lesser adjustment. So you can imagine more things will happen in the areas where we have a lot more information going on in the layer mask. So bear that in the back of your mind. Let me go ahead and look at our layer masks again because I forgot to show you the blurred mask. So here's the lights 1 blurred, and it's just blurred 2, 3, 4, 5. And remember, let's go back to the image first, and I'll explain this to you. Now remember, whenever we combine, if I combine like a lights 3 in the screen blend mode, no blur, with a multiplied lights 3 and a blurred, equal amounts, I've increased detail. Now I'm working with lights right now, so take a look here. Here's the before and after. Can you see that? Can you see that increased detail? Now let's go ahead and change both of these to a lights 2 blurred and non-blurred. So I'll shut off the lights 3 blurred and switch on the multiplied lights 2 blurred, and I'll shut off the screen lights 3 and I'll switch on the screen lights 2 no blur. And now I'll take a look. Here's the before and after. Even more increase of detail. Now let's go to the lights 1. And now we can really see we have a lot of extra detail in there. But for me, that's way too much. Let's shut both of these layers off. Now, here's another thing we can do with the triple play lights, or the lights triple play. And that is we can increase brightness. So for instance, let's pick a, let's go with a lights 2 screen. And you can see the overall image gets brighter. You see that? And now if I pair that up with not its counterpart of a multiply 2, which is right here, I will take like a multiply 3. And now let's take a look. Here's the before and here's the after. So not as much of a detail boost, but a more of a brightness boost. And I can even come down and try a 4 with that and see what happens. Okay, so here's a before and here's a after. So again, the 4. Now not much is happening there. It's mainly changing this area of the cloud right here. So, and I still say that's too bright. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come and shut this one off. I'll shut them both off first. Let's go down to a lights 3 screen. Let's turn this on. And that just overall brightens up the picture. And that's not bad even just by itself. But we can combine it with maybe like a, we'll offset it with say like a 4. So a 3 with a 4, M lights blurred. Okay, so here's a before and here's after. But you see not much detail increase, but it lightens the overall image. And I like that right there. Now, if it's too strong, we could come up here to the lights triple play group and just pull back on the opacity because I think it's too strong. Let me take the whole way off and just build it up slowly. And I'm thinking maybe around a 54. Here's a before and here's an after. And I like it. All right, so I'm done here. I'm going to go ahead and click on my lightning bolt and get rid of all the unused layers that I'm not using, just to tidy things up a bit. And let's close this group. Here's the before the lights triple play. And here's the after. And here's the before the darks triple play. And here's the after. And now let's do both of them. I'm going to option or alt click on the background layer. Here's the before any of the triple play. And here is the after. So again, before and after. So we lightened it up a bit with the lights triple play. We added some really nice detail to the image, and it looks really good to me. Now, I will say this. When you want to add detail to your image with the darks triple play, I would wait till near the end of the editing process to do it. Because if you do it too early, a lot of times when you get near the end of your editing process, your image is a little too crispy looking. So save those detail adjustments till near the end of the editing process. Now, concerning the lights triple play, if you're using it to add detail to the light areas, save that till the end of your editing process. But if you just want to lighten up the image, you could do that at the beginning phases of your editing process. But again, hold off till the end if you want to, add detail to the lighter areas. Well, there it is, everyone. Now you understand how the triple play actions work for lights and darks. If you really want to bring out some beautiful detail, I really highly recommend that darks triple play action. It's great. And that's the one I mainly use, to be honest with you. I very rarely will use the lights action because I have other means of lightening up my image using adjustment layers with luminosity masks on them and things like that. If you enjoyed the tutorial today, please give it a like, share it with your friends. If you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe, click that bell notification icon. Then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll be notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. I'll see you all right here next time. But until then, happy editing!